this week after the Sonoma race, we end up seeing SVG win the Xfinity Series race, and Kyle Larson end up getting a win this week after he got the waiver also. That's kind of an interesting little storyline there. Coming into the weekend, the big thing was that the track had been repaved, and I don't know about you, but I did not see any of the track coming up.
No.
And I know that was a big concern with the little Twitter war that Marcus Smith and Denny Hamlin had earlier in the year, worried about that pavement coming up and causing damage to race cars or just being an unraceable surface. And didn't seem to have any issues like that today. Everything looked good. Track times were picked up a lot because of the extra grip in the new asphalt. I think it was close to 4 seconds faster, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did we break a track record or not?
According to Mike Joy, yes. I mean, I know Bob Pockers, I think, posted something that was still quicker yet, but I'm not sure which track configuration is which, and cause I think it's probably changed a few times, so I'm not sure what is official or not official. So
I guess that makes sense because they used to include the carousel, and then they didn't include the carousel.
Yeah.
And I don't even know, is the carousel in this configuration
No.
or not? Okay, because I didn't even know what they called the carousel. I mean, I know what it is, but I'm saying, like, I couldn't look on the track and be like, I don't know if that's included in it or not. I guess it's that big loop when after you go up the hill and then come back.
Instead of going straight from what they call it, 4 to 7.
Okay.
So, and then like the 5 and 6 are the carousel, so they go
Gotcha.
4, 7, and then
That I'm back on track with that a little bit. And it used to be even different in the late 90s when they kind of went out there for the first few times, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably.
Regardless, that doesn't really matter. I'm not sure what the track record is. I know that they shattered the old records that the modern day times had been, for sure. We actually saw quite a bit more action today than I thought we would. And I'm looking at Racing Reference here. Basically, from 32nd to 38th, didn't even finish the race because of the damage that they suffered. We had a bunch of cautions. Let's see, I was looking for a caution total. I did not see one. Basically, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cautions that didn't include stage breaks.
Yeah. I know they were talking about that the record is 9, and they had like 6, not including the stage break at one time or something like that. So
yeah, that looking at what Racing Reference shows here, the percentage of the race run under caution was 20%, and the average green flag run was 9.8 laps. But we did get a completely green stage 3, kind of more of what we're used to seeing from a road course style racetrack, and you just had the single file, one car running down another one, pit strategy playing out, all that kind of stuff. I don't know that I could say this wasn't a good race. If I had to vote in Jeff Gluck's poll right now, I don't know that I would say it wasn't a good race. Do I desire more out of Sonoma? For sure. But
I think what made it a good race was the differentiating tire strategy there at the end, with Larson being able to come up through and fighting at the end with the amount of incidents that happened that created strategy. And
see, I thought that actually made it a bad race because Chris Beuscher was leading before Kyle Larson got up there, and he was my pick this week, and that's what I was hoping for. But that being said, I thought that there was, yes, you're right, there was a lot of wrecks that caused cautions, that caused things to bunch back up, and that could be my interpretation of why I thought it was a good race. But passing was again at a premium, and fresh tires did seem to make a bigger difference than I thought they would, especially on a repave. I was a little bit surprised by that. In fact, I even said to you once in the closing laps that I did not think that Larson was going to get to the lead because at some point his tires were going to heat up and even out, and it wouldn't be an advantage any longer. But I was 100% wrong on that, and it was an advantage the whole way. Larson ended up leading 19 total laps. Chris Beuscher led 32. Tyler Reddick led 35. Joey Logano led 16 after starting on the pole, and he ended up finishing 21st due to some idiots further back in the field. We'll get to that in a little bit. The point standings after this one, Kyle Larson retakes the points lead over Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, who blew a motor big time real early in the race, Tyler Reddick in 4th, and MTJ in 5th. Hamlin didn't seem like there was any warning with that. Didn't sound like he missed a shift. Didn't sound like anything. Just came. It was lap 2, I think.
Yep.
And just came off turn 11, and it was smoke surrounding the 11 all the way down
Yeah, I believe that's the shortest race in his career.
Oh, really? That's the least.
I believe I read that somewhere. So
I saw on Twitter at one point they were saying between that, the incident with Ty Gibbs with the flat right front tire after he hit the wall in turn 11 coming around there, and then Christopher Bell spinning around, it said the JGR plane has been ready to take off 3 times and they had to hold it for another driver.
Even Martin Truex Jr. looped around there at one time.
He was off the track. He went off-roading. William Byron went off-roading a little bit. There was several of those guys that normally keep them between the ditches, as my grandpa would say, that were failing to do so this week. Like I said, lots of cautions. The one that related to Joey Logano, he started on the pole, led the first 16 laps. At the end of stage 1, a caution came out. Was that the Ty Gibbs caution? I'm going to look and see. I think that's what it was. Yeah, Ty Gibbs caution came out, and he pitted for fuel on a strategy to win the race. Like, that's what Logano was looking to do. He had a fast car, like I said, started on the pole, nobody could pass him, and the whole point in him coming to pit road there before the end of the stage was so that he would flip the stage and be out front when everybody else pitted at the end of the stage that was trying to earn stage points. And when he restarted back there in 21st or so, a bunch of idiots wrecked each other.
Caught in a hornet's nest.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It tore the door off the car. It tore the back end off the car. And he was in the top 10 later on through some strategy and stuff, but ultimately it didn't end up paying off because of he had to get back on a different strategy toward the end there, and ended up finishing 21st, which was real unfortunate for the kind of day that he had. Tyler Reddick led the most laps with 35. Like I said, he ran up front a lot. And Chris Beuscher, my pick to win, led 32 laps. He looked really good up until the very end there when Truex certainly had a faster car, was going to run him down and pass him, and he got there, but he was never able to get around him. And just in that whole process of those two racing, Kyle Larson was coming with faster tires and went by both of them. And Truex couldn't catch him, couldn't run him back down. And then at the end of the race, coming around turn 11, Truex was out of fuel. And basically finished last car in the lead lap because of where it all shook out that way. Real unfortunate for him. He finished 27th, which only led 1 lap, but he ran up front quite often, especially for being off the track a lot. Michael McDowell finished 2nd. That was somebody that I believe I said in our preview show I was tempted to pick him for the win, but because of the fact that Michael McDowell often doesn't finish out races as well as he starts them, I didn't pick him, and he finished 2nd. Good day for him. Kyle Busch, another car like Truex that ended up running out of fuel at the end of the race. He was having a good day, ran 3rd quite a bit. He ran in the top 10 pretty handily. And he ended up getting, we talked about this a little bit, credited with the 12th place finish, even though he ran out of fuel at the end. Not 100% sure how NASCAR scored that.
Yeah. Just evidently caution came out for Truex there at the end, and that was where he's running. And evidently he stayed fast enough in NASCAR's eyes that he deserved that position. So
Truex was so slow on the racetrack that he wasn't able to even coast back across the start-finish line. He was left it in gear and just held the starter switch on to try to run across the start-finish line and just creeping right along. Because of that, NASCAR, after the checkered flag had flown, deemed that to be, a safety concern. So they threw the yellow flag on the racetrack, even though the race was over. And because of that, as Kyle Busch was coming around to complete his lap, he had also been spun out after he'd been running pretty strong. As he was coming around to complete his lap, he also ran out of fuel. And the caution was out as he was running out of fuel, and apparently, like you said, maintained enough speed in NASCAR's eyes to stay credited with that position. It is unfortunate for him because he was running better than that before he got spun out, plus the running out of fuel situation. That's just got to add insult to injury for them because they had a decent day going.
Kyle Busch got a grudge against a lot of people now between Larson, Chastain, who just spun him out there.
Is that who? I guess I never even noticed who turned him around.
Yeah, Chastain turned him around, so another one on Chastain's list. So.
Yeah, well, that's just that's like Joey Logano's list. It's just the whole field, and I don't think either one of them are too worried about it. Where did Ross Chastain finish in this one?
5th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a pretty good day for him. The Dinger brought it home in 6th. Your pick?
Chase 4th.
Oh, wow. So I did beat you out this week. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
I actually thought that you ended up beating me this week, and I don't really know. I guess I thought you had Larson because you were cheering for him so hard there at the end.
I'm just a Hendrick driver at that point, yeah.
I totally forgot you picked Chase Elliott there. So, all right. So my pick, Chris Beuscher finished third. Your pick, Chase Elliott, finished fourth. And like we said, Chastain fifth, AJ Allmendinger sixth. Ryan Blaney did better than I thought he would. I don't really know why. I just didn't really think he'd be that well of a road course performer. Finished seventh. Tyler Reddick eighth. Thought he would probably be a little better today, along with Christopher Bell. Those two are matched up with each other in the bracket challenge this week.
Well, I think Bell on that one pit road sequence with Larson where they got together and it looked like he may have overbraked into turn 4. Him and Larson got together. I think he flat spotted his tire. And that really, Larson got to hit him there, and he just never could recover from that.
He was also one of the cars that was turned around when Josh Berry decided to dive bomb the whole field there in turn 11. Bell was spun around at that point.
Bell. Yeah.
Yes.
I was talking about Reddick.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Todd Gilliland bringing it home for a top 10. Corey LaJoie ran better than I thought he would. Brad Keselowski not as strong as I thought he'd be in 13th. Suarez in 14th. I don't really know of anybody else that I thought was notable. Speaking of the Australian drivers, Will Brown for Richard Childress Racing, he ended up finishing 31st. He had issues, and he was actually one of the cars that brought out a caution. He came off turn 11 and had some sort of issue. It's listed as a suspension issue here. Pulled it off into the middle of the racetrack, but ended up getting going again. And he must have had an issue later on to.
Yeah, I thought it was an electrical issue when they talked about it, but
actually, okay, I'm mistaken here. It does show him still running. It's the next car down, Josh Berry, that was listed as out with a suspension issue. So Will Brown was the last car running, but yes, he did have electrical issues. Cam Waters was involved in that wreck with Josh Berry as well, and about 17,000 other cars. Tyler Reddick ended up winning the first stage. Chris Beuscher ended up winning the second stage, and Kyle Larson won the race, as we said. And I think that's pretty neat that Larson gets the win the same week that he ends up getting a waiver to compete for the championship. I think that's just kind of a little interesting tidbit there, that he had that kind of success after all this turmoil, and everybody's talking about, will he get it, won't he get it? And I really do think that Kyle Larson did not care if he got it or not.
Yeah.
And he said as much in his pre-race interview, press conference this week, and didn't seem like that bothered him at all. He was here to win races, and whatever happened, happened. And I don't know if that says more or less about the situation of the current championship and how it's awarded.
Yeah.
If he's just like, I don't care. They're made up championships at this point anyway, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. One other guy that I was going to mention was Austin Cindric. He spent a lot of time off-road. I'm pretty sure they should have just put treaded tires on his car because he was out there in the dirt and in the dead grass quite a bit.
He just about rolled it over that first.
Yeah, that one hit was pretty hard that he looked like he was.
It's amazing his car was still going after that one.
Parts were flying off of it. It might have actually made it better when they got some of the junk they put on these race cars off of it. Josh Berry, I've been giving him a hard time about saying he wrecked half the field, but it looked like he got shot over into John Hunter Nemechek or Eric Jones, one of those two.
It was John Hunter Nemechek, I think. But it looked like because Bubba Wallace was off in the dirt on the other side. Whether they all thought they needed to move to allow room for him or something, or what, or a block, or because Josh said he didn't know he was there when Josh pulled to the inside.
Yeah,
but it wasn't turned into that direction. Just he pulled into the side, and it looked like he was punted into the corner.
Yeah. Speaking of being punted into the corner, let's shift and talk about the Xfinity race a little bit. I didn't see the whole race. I picked it up with about 18 to go. Austin Hill was leading, and Shane Van Gisbergen was going to run him down. The caution came out, and when they lined him back up, they went up the hill and into the first real turn is what I call it. I don't know what number it is. First right-hander that you kind of go around there a little bit. SVG was inside Austin Hill, and it's a right-hand turn. Austin Hill put him in a position, this is all from my opinion here, it put him in a position where SVG would have had to have lifted or stayed in there hard in the throttle to maintain his position on the inside of him. And he stayed. He made contact with Austin Hill, who went flying off the racetrack outside the line of the groove there, and SVG went on and cruised to a win. An aggressive move, some rough racing. I don't see anything wrong with it. I thought Shane did fine. I think he did what anybody else would do in trying to hold that position. He wasn't being given any room, and he didn't allow anybody else to have any either. What was your thought on it?
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to Coda between the two, I mean,
that's a good point.
I mean, SVG had that race won, and then on that late restart, got punted by Austin Hill.
Yep.
I mean, you can almost say SVG got paid back in the end, but neither of them won the race. And
right.
The race was Larson was going to win that thing pretty much at that point, anyways. But
yeah,
I don't mind seeing Austin Hill punted anyways.
I don't either. And I tell you what, I like Shane's celebration of kind of drifting around some of the corners of these road courses. I just wish he would either let the whole field go by or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't really like him doing that while cars are trying to come around for their cool down lap. But he and Austin Hill, I don't know if it was Hill trying to mess with him or if it was SVG just trying to do burnouts around him, but Hill finished like 5th or something. I don't know.
I believe it was 5th, yeah.
Yeah, he did finish 5th. And they just stayed pretty much nose to tail as Shane was doing his burnouts and whatnot, and it was just.
Well, I think Hill slowed down to him at one point, trying to get a message across of some kind.
Oh, he got a message out the window at him. That's for sure.
Number one, but
he told him how good a job he thought he did today. I don't mind that rivalry at all.
Yeah.
I don't know that Shane's an overly likable guy on his own. But Austin Hill is so hateable that you just have to get on SVG's side here. I feel like, anyways, he's definitely the more attractive one in this situation. I like the punting the rugby ball too. That being a thing from his country that he brings over here. I think that's a neat little celebration, even though it's not a sport he actually plays.
Yeah.
It'd be cooler if he punted a race car over into the stands instead. Took his helmet off and drop kicked that or something along that line. That'd be neat.
It probably hurt. But,
yeah, I bet it would. So that's really all I've got for this week at Sonoma as far as on-track action. Let's talk a little bit. Do you have the Denny Hamlin bracket pulled up?
I do.
Tell me what are the matchups this week and what did they end up? I'll tell you where they finished if you tell me what the matchups were. Let's do.
So we got Denny and Joey.
We know that Joey won that one because Denny blew up.
Yeah. So then we had Brad and John Hunter Nemechek.
And Brad Keselowski won that one. He finished 13th. JHN finished 29th.
We had Chase and Austin Cindric.
So Chase Elliott finished 4th. Austin Cindric was way at the back, and I'm going to see where he was. He was 22nd.
And we had Noah Gragson and William Byron, which we had an upset here.
Yeah, Noah Gragson finished 26th, and William Byron ended up finishing 30th.
Yeah. And we had Austin Dillon and Chris Beuscher. Chris Beuscher finishing 3rd. So.
Yeah. And Austin Dillon.
At one point, he was running. Oh, he was in that mess too with the. Barry.
Yeah. He was wrecked. He was out of the race. Finished 36th.
Yeah, I think that ended up even after that. I think he still raced after that and then ended out of the race again or something. Right?
It's got him listed for DVP here, so he apparently did get up to speed in time.
Then we had Ross Chastain versus Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs hit the inside wall in turn 11. So
yeah, finished 37th. He was out of the race on the DVP as well, and Ross Chastain finished 5th.
We had Kyle Larson versus Kyle Busch.
Kyle Larson won the race. Kyle Busch finished 12th, even after running out of fuel.
And we had Bell versus Reddick, which was pretty close.
Yeah, Reddick finished 8th, and Bell finished 9th.
So
that was the entire thing?
That was, yep.
So going into Iowa next week, what do those matchups look like?
So kind of got to try and follow this through because they don't have everything updated.
Well, we can wait and talk about that when they get it updated. Then we'll do a different episode and talk more about that. But yeah, I actually, when I looked at my bracket and where things finished out, I think my only big hit was William Byron. I had it matched up against Brad Keselowski in the championship. Yeah. That one is going to hurt me all the way through, but the rest of them I did pretty well on. So I'm looking forward to see where I end up scoring after this week.
Yeah, I had Denny Hamlin going to the championship round versus Kyle Larson. My final two, Denny Hamlin finished last and Larson won the race. So
yep.
That was kind of interesting.
You've got both ends of the spectrum right there. Well, we're on to Iowa next week. I really think we can put Sonoma in the rear view. Nothing really super exciting happened, I didn't think. A little better race than I expected just because of the cautions that took place. Really didn't think we'd see that many wrecks with a new repave on the racetrack. Yeah. But I thought that once again the Xfinity race was the best race of the weekend. I don't know. I guess we'll just see what happens at Iowa. Cup Car's first time on that track. Looking forward to seeing what that shakes out to be too.
It was kind of a half a new repave on that track. So
yeah, only certain parts of the corner got new asphalt. So that'll be interesting to see. They did a tire test there, did they not?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Larson was in it, wasn't he?
I think maybe.
I'm not sure. Either way, probably whatever car ran the most laps at the tire test is who's going to win the race. I'm going to have to look that up and see if we can find that out. Anything else you wanted to talk about?
That's all I got.
All right. Well, we thank you guys for watching, listening, consuming this podcast in any way, shape, or form. And we'll be back after Iowa, maybe even before Iowa. We'll see how the week goes, and talk about things going into the weekend, but definitely after Iowa. And we'll let you know what we think there and what the bracket's looking like.